Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Today we have another LSU football practice highlight video. Of course, we're going to start things off with the no defense scrimmage. I don't really know what to call this besides that, but you get a good look at Garrett Nussmeier. You get a good look at the backups, getting in, getting active. But do y'all see what I see? A little motion from the slot. The wide receiver 3 potentially. Aaron Anderson looks like he's running with the ones today. People have been questioning whether or not he's going to be your starter. As we've said, this is spring ball. This ain't summer ball. It ain't fall camp. You don't really know what your starters are going to be, but it seems to be pretty clear cut as of right now that your wide receivers are going to read. Wide receiver 1, Kyron Lacy. Wide receiver 2, Chris Hilton. And here, wide receiver 3, Aaron Anderson. Now, yeah, you got a lot of people you can flip in and out of these spots. You got a lot of depth. You got a lot of versatility. But check out Garrett Nussmeier doing a little bit of quarterback design run at that too. So speaking of versatility, when you got these deep threat vertical weapons, when you got pretty good running backs, and then when you got a mobile quarterback that can still get in the end zone with his legs, now I think you're in a pretty good situation. Quarterback 2, conversation has been kind of, picking up. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be the backup that could potentially take the field in a blowout game for LSU this year? Will it be A.J. Swann? Will it be Ricky Collins? Some people say it should be Ricky because Ricky's been at LSU for quite some time. But, A.J. Swann being the backup, food for thought, there's a lot more experience. Now, does that hold as much weight when someone's coming into a new offense like this? I don't know. Leave your take in the comments below who you would start, A.J. Swann or Ricky Collins. If you had to ask me, if you had to have me make a decision right here, right now, it would have to be based on their development. Who's further along in their process? You can say two different things about this perspective. You can say that A.J. Swann is in a position where his back's against a wall, and if he makes one mistake, he's probably going to not necessarily lose his job, but he's probably going to lose a lot of responsibility, like a lot of the trust that the coaches have been put into him because he's a newer guy, because he's kind of an older guy as well. And it's like he's not necessarily running out of time, but he doesn't have that much time left to show what he's capable of. Now, Ricky Collins, however, he's not expected to completely, make a case for a starting role or a backup role as of right now at this age with his eligibility left. So he would be theoretically ahead of schedule in my book. With that being said, him not getting it, him not being quarterback 2, him staying at the third string position isn't detrimental to his career either. Would he consider a transfer portal? Would he consider something else? Who knows? Really is going to depend on how much he's bought into LSU and the scheme, which I think is quite a lot. But with Ricky Collins, he's going to have a lot of opportunity through Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly. They're not going to leave him empty-handed all year. I'm sure if they're up 50 points and A.J. Swann has already gotten a couple games in the year, they're probably going to throw him out there. I mean, it's definitely something that you're going to want to test. You're going to want to put your younger guy in the frying pan, so to speak. You're going to want to see how he handles that pressure that is college football, that is SEC football. You're going to have to eventually make some assessments on him. I think Ricky, though, he's not in a situation where they're not trusting him. He's running 3s in the no defense drill, but he's running 2s in the singular passing drill. So the decision could not be made yet. The decision could be, being made in fall camp. They could be waiting a month, 2 months, 3 months to figure out who their backup quarterback is because, they're in a situation where they can patiently make that decision. They can patiently develop Ricky. They can patiently, identify how A.J. Swann can be implemented into their scheme, give him time to be able to gel. Speaking of the running backs with the offense, they started to practice with the ones, and of course, no surprise, Josh Williams is going to lead this running back room as of right now, but running back 2, Caleb Jackson, I think will have a pretty pivotal spot. With the running backs, you could see split backs between your starter and your backup, and it'll be pretty normal. You can see a third running back go out there and be like a utility back or a scat back or someone that's receiving in the backfield. I think, LSU on the offensive side, as everybody's heard for weeks, is going to be okay. I mean, look at guys like Kyron Lacy or guys like Chris Hilton Jr., they're going to be able to be your sure-handed guys that take the torch from Malik, that take the torch from Brian Thomas Jr., and continue to perform at wide receiver U. But like we said with Aaron Anderson, people were wondering whether or not he was going to stay. People are rumoring, is he going to be an LSU Tiger? Is he going to be able to be utilized in the scheme? Is Coach Kelly, Coach Cortez Hankton, Joe Sloan, are they going to be able to implement him and play him this year? It's a no-brainer to me. I think Aaron Anderson is one of your more talented wide receivers in this room. I think, he possesses a skill set that's pretty unique in a sense where he's a smaller guy, but he makes up for it, more than makes up for it, with his speed, with his route running tree, with his ability to be able to, sharp turn, get a defender off of his balance spot and completely shred the defense. Now, people are wondering, oh, well, people are saying he wasn't able to run the route tree. Oh, well, he doesn't know the playbook well. That's hearsay. Not only is that hearsay, but he's had an entire offseason and almost an entire season to sit there and diagnose a playbook. So if Aaron Anderson is not in tip-top shape in terms of schematic IQ and learning plays and being able to go out there and know his routes, where to go and how to do it, then yeah, he'll be in a bit of trouble. But seeing as LSU has him in the wide receiver 3 spot right now in practice, I don't see that being a chance. I don't see them putting someone who, quote-unquote, does not know their routes on the field right now. I could see Aaron Anderson being your go-to guy at that spot for quite some time. And, he could definitely turn some heads and make some big plays and be a questionable wide receiver 2. We're saying wide receiver 3, but he could be that guy that turns heads and has a pretty decent year. Now let's switch over to the defensive side. This was the first time that they actually, got the defensive line together, got some of the linebackers together, and pinched them in and let them run a little bit of a mini scrimmage together. Now I can't wait for them to put the offense and the defense together for us to be able to show you, but this is what we got for you right now. And I think something that I want to point out and know is Major Burns running inside and not staying, at that outside DB spot. I think it'll be pretty interesting to watch him be a little more versatile, watch him get a little bit more, of an aggressive role in this defense. And look at this. Speaking of aggression, you got Corey Raymond making the DBs sling each other all over the field. The Corey Raymond aggression era coming through for the DBs at LSU. I mean, you love it. This is going to be a night and day difference of this defense compared to last year's defense. They've already made plenty of progress. You've already seen guys like Sage Ryan have a hell of a practice. Shout out Sage, 3+ interceptions last Saturday. I think, when you're looking at this DB room and this defense, the first thing that jumps out to me is it seems like they're a lot more comfortable. Now, I could be reaching. I could be looking at something on the field that, is more than meets the eye, but it just looks like everybody is smooth. It looks like there's not a lot of confusion. There's not a lot of, picking up pieces and just having people all over the place. It looks like everybody is hemmed in on what they're supposed to be doing. It looks like everybody is making improvements. I mean, yeah, you got a couple younger guys who make mistakes here and there, but all in all, when you're looking at the starters improve day in and day out, and from the first practice where we saw them, kind of just going around doing small little warm-ups, small little fundamentals, to now where the DBs are following people, the DBs are potentially breaking up passes, the DBs are intercepting passes from your offense. You're going to that game speed. You're starting to get into those reps where you're really giving 110% effort. You're really going out there. You're burning that midnight oil trying to get to that SEC play. You don't have many months left till this offseason is over with. We're already sitting here at the beginning of April. You got May, June, July, and then a little bit of August. We're 4 months away from the start of college football, where LSU takes on USC, where LSU potentially tries to get their third double-digit win season under Brian Kelly. But it's all going to start here with this defense. It's all going to start with the defensive back room. Is Corey Raymond going to be able to bring LSU back to legitimacy? Is he going to be able to make them DBU? Leave your takes in the comments below. Tell me what you think about Corey Raymond, his impact so far, and what you've seen through these spring highlights. But what I've noticed with these DBs is that, you're not in a situation where you had no talent. You're not in a situation where the DB room is horrible and you just, you're cursed. I think they've got plenty of talent. Whether you say Major Burns, whether you say Sage Ryan, you got Jordan Gilbert, you got Zy Alexander who's hurt, you still got J.K. Johnson. I mean, you've got guys. You've got people that you can lean on, that you can trust, that you can look to in big moments, that have been on this team, that have performed in the past, and that are going to be able to have their potential realized. I mean, let's look at Major Burns, for example. His role changes a little bit. Why? Coaches see something in him that was not necessarily seen before. Same thing with Harold Perkins. He's going to go into a more inside role, and people are going to overreact initially until they realize that fits Harold Perkins the best. I think that this coaching staff, they're not completely randomly guessing with these moves, with these schematic changes. They're not completely randomly guessing what is going to be best for this team. I feel like they came in, they assessed, and Blake Baker, Corey Raymond, Bo Davis already had a plan in mind. They came in, they implemented their scheme, and within a couple months, LSU's defense is probably, I'm not going to say 5 times better than it was last year, but they're definitely in a spot where I would trust them a lot more, where I would lean on them a lot more. And if LSU could lean on their defense and not have to score the 40 points a game, not have to score 45, 50 points to be able to get close to a win like they did against Ole Miss or what have you, then I think they're going to be in a pretty good situation. The offense, everyone's saying, oh, I'm tired of hearing about them being so good. I want to know about the defense. That's my take on the defense. I think that the defense is going to be potentially not just as good as the offense, but pretty close. And then, if you had that last year, you had a potential national championship season. When your offense is explosive, it's not necessarily the end of the world when they're a little tad bit better than your defense. But when they're extremely better than your defense, and when they're almost the only reason you're in the game, then that's going to make some things a little bit confusing. Then that's going to make it a little bit harder to trust those guys in third down situations, potential fourth down situations, and just game impacting situations in general. Going forward for LSU spring football coverage, though, tomorrow we'll have the pro day where you'll see Jaden Daniels throw to Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr. You're going to see some defensive line action, whether it be Mason Smith, Mekhi Wingo. You got Jordan Jefferson. You got plenty of guys in LSU's NFL draft class this season, but the 3 first-rounders between Jaden, Brian, and Malik is what, that catches me. It's going to be a pretty attentive pro day. There are going to be a lot of people there. Last year you saw Bill Belichick. I'm pretty excited to see who we will have in attendance this year, but make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any coverage from that. We're going to be there at about 9 o'clock in the morning all the way to about 2, so we'll have that coverage out before 5 o'clock for sure. We'll make sure to show you Jaden Daniels' throws. We're going to do all of Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas warm-ups, their runs, any type of routes or catches that they complete. We're going to have it all. This has been the Verdin Verdict Spring Practice Football coverage. More of this on the way. Got plenty of episodes left, probably about 6 to 7 more highlight episodes, as well as the spring game. Stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us on social media. Thanks for watching.